To start, my husband, 45M, and I, 41F, have always been poly. We started as a poly couple, and it's always worked for us. Even though it's not drama-free or perfect, we're happy. We're also non-religious. He is an atheist and I am agnostic Jewish, and this was something we discussed when we got married 13 years ago, and it's never been an issue. He has a newish girlfriend he has been seeing, and she said she wasn't religious, but apparently lied to him. I suspect she does this to convert people. I've had brushes with missionary dating myself, and it's honestly super scummy because it always starts out with a lie. Anyway, he agreed to visit her church with her, which I was shocked about because he's a hardcore atheist. And now she's demanding he bring our 3 children, ages 4, 6, and 9, to her church and spun a big story about baptism, children's classes, and other family events she said she wanted to attend. She even suggested she take out our 2 daughters to a Mommy and Me Bible class for women. He said she called it a step-mommy and me class when talking about my girls. It made me sick. I already didn't like her, and this made me angry and scared. I agreed to an open relationship with him, and we always said our children do not meet or stay with our partner's partner. The kids have never met or gone out with any of my partners. I'm honestly so uncomfortable with all of this. I told him I didn't want our children around her at all, especially in this church. He thinks I'm being unreasonable and said I'm being dramatic and a jerk. Neither of us has ever taken our children around other partners before, especially when that partner is asking for alone time with them. I'm honestly wondering if she is even poly. She has asked my husband what he thinks about certain weddings in her church, even though he has stated he isn't interested and can't legally marry anyone else. He told me she showed him photos of a bridal magazine she bought. He presented this to me as wow, she's so funny and quirky, but I pointed out that a woman doesn't show her boyfriend wedding gowns and flowers if she doesn't want or expect to marry him. He said it wasn't that deep even though I disagreed. This is the first time I've been extremely uncomfortable about someone he's seen. I already told him I don't want to hear about her anymore, and our children are not to be around her. I usually trust him, but he seems deep in these rose-colored glasses with her, and I'm having serious doubts. He already broke the don't overshare boundary we have with parallel partners, and his atheist self went to pray to a God he doesn't believe in with her. I feel blindsided and I'm starting to think he may try to take the children to her church or even let our daughters go play stepmommy with her and her Bible group. I have discussed this with him, and he has honestly started making me so angry. It feels patronizing when he said I'm being dramatic and worried over nothing when clearly it's an issue. What should I do? Is there a perspective I'm missing here? Update 1. So a while back, I posted about my husband seeing a new woman who wanted to take our children solo to a Bible class at her church after dating my husband for only 3 weeks. When I originally posted, he was out of town on a boys' trip, and I was honestly getting ready to keep records for a messy but pretty normal divorce. So the boys' trip was real, sort of. He was gone with friends I know for 2 out of the 6 days. They posted tons of photos on social media, and I thought it was fine, but before he even got home, I reached out to one of the guys' wives I'm friends with and learned it was only a weekend trip. Her husband and the other guys were already back. So where was he Tuesday through Friday? When he got home, I asked him about the trip, obviously, and he immediately lied to my face. I showed him texts from his friend saying he was back home by Monday night. He changed his story and backpedaled, saying one guy came home early because he was sick. But I'd reached out to the other guys and they were all on flights back home Monday. He said they were lying because he was with them all week long in Vegas. I asked for photos, he refused. I asked where he really was, he refused. He was angry enough to keep his bags packed, grab some of his stuff from the bathroom and closet, and leave the house to go stay with his girlfriend. He made a big deal about not wanting to feel interrogated, and how I was the liar by going to his friends asking about his whereabouts. He said, once again, I was starting drama that I didn't really want. He said I was a bored housewife and had to stir the pot where it wasn't needed. He didn't know I had found all the details, receipts, messages, screenshots, etc., and already had a lawyer, and I was prepared to file. But then it got really nasty. He came back 2 mornings later, clearly expecting me to be at work, and he had his girlfriend with him. They walked in expecting an empty house, and when she saw me, she absolutely lost her mind. My fear is that now she is confirmed to know where I live, and he gave her a key to the house. She was dumb enough to try and shove it in my face and said, "This is my house now, bleep," and threw her keys at me. I started video recording them and got her on video threatening to steal my children and accused me of child abuse and touching. I wouldn't have to rescue your kids if you took care of them, no one would have to protect them if you kept your hands to yourself. I saw the sick crap you did. She called me a child toucher for recording her among other outrageous false accusations. She said she'd been watching me and warned not even to try her in court because she had all sorts of evidence, including witchcraft and the child abuse. I never directly addressed her. I tried to stay as calm as possible and asked him to please have her leave and to come back later alone. He demanded to see the children, but I'd already given them a day off to go play at a relative's house. He accused me of hiding the children from him and said I wasn't allowed by law to keep the children from him. He started quoting laws about visitation rights as well. He wanted to know where they were, and I said nothing. I simply refused to tell him. I said we could talk, just the 2 of us, and he refused and said anything I said could be said in front of his girlfriend. Then he went on about how he had no secrets from her. She went into the kids' rooms and stole a bunch of their stuff, claiming it was for them when they go to live with her at her apartment. She also broke anything she could on her way around the house: vases, ceramics, wall photos, anything hanging or that she could knock over. She kept mumbling prayers to herself and at one point shouted that she was going to do an exorcism in the children's rooms. The scariest part was after I locked myself into my bedroom, I looked out the bedroom window that overlooked the road, and I saw 2 more people in his car. Other friends or church members, maybe, and this is when I called 911. Unfortunately, they didn't show up until 2 hours later after everyone had left. I hated implicating my ex, and I'm mad I stopped recording when I made the phone call. He came to the bedroom door and slammed on it so hard I thought it was going to come off the hinges. He said he needed his stuff and I legally couldn't keep him from it. I said he had to make her leave and only he could come into the bedroom. She spoke over him and said it wouldn't matter because it would be her house soon and mocked me for being scared of her. She said, "That's how they are though, they hide like rats in attics." I couldn't help myself and started to cry, and I think that's when he said they should leave, or he'd heard me call the police. All in all, it was a terrifying experience. I've already called my lawyer. I also filed a police report, not that it did any good. They contacted my husband, and he denied everything and said I was a nutcase abusing the kids. They were absolutely useless. I changed the locks, and the kids are still staying elsewhere. Cleaning up all the glass and broken stuff all over the floor was honestly the lowest point I've ever been. I never saw this amount of crazy coming. I knew it was mostly over when I realized he'd lied about the trip. He's been texting me nonstop, but it's erratic, like emotional whiplash. He apologized for her threatening me and breaking my stuff. Said he asked her not to do that but did nothing to stop her. Then he turned around and threatened me if I went to a lawyer or the cops. Using language I've never heard him use, like how I'm possessed, how I have no right to my own children because I've hurt them. He even said he was sure I had been abusing the children and he had a confession from them. He's already started an online smear campaign against me, saying he's having to separate from me for abuse, child abuse, cheating, and something about tax evasion and money fraud. It doesn't seem like anyone believes him, though. Every reply is, "Hey man, you okay? Call me," or something similar. I had to convince my sister not to interact with him. Honestly, I'm still so shaken up. I realized I'm lucky no one physically harmed me. I have sent all the videos and photos of the destroyed house to my lawyer. To add more salt, I also noticed during the chaos that she's wearing an engagement ring. It looks like a ring my grandmother gave me that I was keeping in a safety deposit box, and if it's that ring, I'll have to sue him for its return because it's a family heirloom. One of the more unnerving things I overheard was her telling him to tell her you never loved her, and he replied, "We talked about this," but he sounded like he was laughing, like she was being silly or something and not incredibly cruel and manipulative. She had a tantrum and said if he wouldn't say it, he never really loved her. It was nauseating to listen to. She ended up saying, "He said he never loved you." In all of this, he seemed oddly fine with her chaos. I was scared witless, and he was operating as if everything was normal. He wasn't overly aggressive, and he didn't try to hurt me, touch me, or threaten that he would. He didn't seem like he was drunk or on illegal substances. I asked the kids if they talked to their dad about anyone hurting them or if anything bad had happened, and all of them answered in the negative. So it seems like the confession he said he got was a falsehood. Anyway, I'm not going to share the legal stuff here for obvious reasons, but I wanted to update everyone on the situation and thank everyone who gave me amazing feedback and were especially kind to offer good resources for cult deprogramming.